Welcome to the Sear Show. Join us as we dive into the dynamic world of health, wellness, mindset, and fitness with the unparalleled guidance of lifelong knowledge seekers, Sifu Raphael and Nikki Gangemi. Sifu and Nikki will unlock groundbreaking insights with extraordinary guests from around the globe. You'll get the latest holistic approaches to well-being with a sharp focus on the powerful connection between mind, body, and soul. Get ready to take the leap. It's time to embrace a brighter and healthier future with us at the Sear Show.
Nikki, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Sifu. I am excellent today. And how are you?
I am exceptional and getting better every day.
Love it.
I just noticed that one of the images in the intro was the bridge, and it's either looking at New Jersey or it's looking at New York. So we just got to meet in the middle because you're in Jersey and I'm in New York.
We do. We're just going to have to meet in the middle. Fancy that.
That's it. That's it. And we can do a marathon from there.
And we can. I'll start preparing now.
Perfect. I'm excited for today. We have three, not two, not one, but three exceptional human beings who are going to be joining us. So let's go ahead and bring them on. And Jeff and David and Renee, good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Good morning. How fun to see everybody all together.
Yeah. So today, the talking points, if you will, is operations is one of the topics, right? It's to me, it's the invisible backbone of a lot of businesses, and most businesses don't fail because of lack of vision. And Jeff can probably jump into this one, is because lack of execution. Because we all have a vision, but do we take action? Do we execute the right way? So that I throw that out there.
Thank you, Sifu. Yes, I mean, you see the CBA there, and as you know, it stands for Conceive, Believe, Achieve. And before you can achieve, you got to think about it, and think about it and believe it, which goes back to what I teach. You look at execution, you have awareness, you have action and accountability. So you got to be accountable for what you want to do. And one way to do that is all the specific action steps, not just written. That's where the accountability comes in. So truly, we all strive for an execution mastery.
I love that.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes the bump in the road, Jeff, is procrastination, right? Especially for solo practices, and that's who I deal with mostly, is that the procrastination end of it, right? Overwhelm, things like that. Mm-hmm. So when we look at lack of execution, I think that can be a dominant reason why people don't move forward.
David, interesting point. You talk about procrastination. That's where that third A of accountability comes in. If there's we're human beings. Sometimes we get clogged. So there's a lot of different methods that can be used to get rid of those procrastination. If you find yourself in that mode, just take a paper and pen, or if you like the computer, use the computer and write down what's in your mind, what's cluttering in your mind. And when you get it all off your mind, you realize, hey, this is really important. This is not important. So it's taking these action steps, which will avoid procrastination. Goes back to your vision, as Sifu said from the very beginning. What is the vision? You focus on that. Procrastination goes only a fleeting moment.
I'm going to share with you guys something that we're talking about operation execution.
Mhm.
And when we fail to do one part of that operation, things can totally start to collapse. So, for example, I'm going to share with you something that I did not do. Notice I said did and then put not do.
Mhm.
I did not ask each one of you to, in the private chat, to put in your links so I can share them during the show. So if I realize that I messed up, right? But, and I'm actually asking you guys to do that. But if I don't take accountability in the operation failure that can happen as we move along, it'll, we're going to blame somebody else. So also, I think one of the things in leadership is taking full responsibility, right? So I kind of said it in a funny way, but it's the real truth that I never asked you. And usually that's the first thing Nikki and I do. But because we were so entangled, if you will, in our conversation that I forgot, right? And so therefore,
Not only were we entangled in our conversation, but we're being transparent here. You were helping me to get back onto StreamYard because I got booted out. So, it's something you don't normally do, right? We were doing something that was out of our habit. So it makes sense that, we didn't get the email or the contact info from everybody.
yeah. No, I still take full responsibility, no matter whatever happens, because if I want to continue to learn from every mistake I've made, I gotta acknowledge the mistake, and then I have to take action to eventually, hopefully, and don't get me wrong, it's gonna happen again, right? But
Yeah.
at least I will try to make it less often. So I think that's part of operations that will help any business to take accountability for any lapses that go along the way.
See, for what you've identified is one of the strong facets of leadership. A true definition of a leader is to take responsibility for anything that goes wrong and share the credit for everything that goes right. Because if it goes wrong, the client or the other person doesn't care. You got an outside contractor. You're the person they contacted. And if it goes right, it's because of the team and support of everyone else. And imagine if it goes right and you don't take the credit, you give it out, everyone's going to support you. So I compliment you on your leadership skills right then and there, whether you realize it or not.
Thank you. Thank you. It doesn't hurt that I am reading the book.
I love it.
Is that right? And it's extreme ownership.
I heard of that.
It doesn't hurt. But to be honest, even before I read the book, I'm like, oh yeah, I do this. Oh yeah, I do that. I do that. So a lot of times when we put the blame on someone else, right there and then, you don't own anything because you gave it away. You gave your ownership away. So you're right. When something goes wrong, I take full responsibility. But when something goes right, I don't want to take full responsibility because maybe it wasn't even me. I can say, Joe is the one that did it. Mary did it. But we're a team, so thank you. But we should also go thank Mary, Joe, and so forth. And I've done that my whole life. It's because I've seen it, because I'm a people watcher. I got to say it. I'm a people watcher. And I look at people, and one of the things that I try to do is try not to do the mistakes they make, right? Or the way they make other people feel. And I go, oh, that's not what I want. And the biggest teachers I've had in my life are the ones that have hurt me the most. And so I don't want to do what they've done to other people. So, but I share that.
And you're obtaining knowledge from others. And with that knowledge, you're dispensing wisdom.
Yes, extreme wisdom. And I think that awareness is something that is so important to us as leaders, as individuals, is that it's not about us. It's thinking about what is happening as an extension of us. And so your extreme awareness, Sifu, calls that out. Because when I think about operations isn't just that one piece. The operations, the voice and visibility tie in so nicely because one impacts the other. Because we also think about operations sometimes as just being a thing, but operations is so much more. It's the way that we think about those things. It's the way that we execute those things, and it keeps it sustainable, a process that can create executional excellence.
I just want to put a quote out there. Enough talk about me. I'm not going to keep talking about me, but what do you guys think about me? I'm just kidding. That's Bette Midler. Well, thank you all for chiming in on me, and I appreciate it. But let's talk about you guys, because you bring something truly, truly valuable to this conversation. And I wanted to share, and I thank you for being so kind to me, and saying such nice things to me. Just tell me where I have to send the check, and we'll make sure that happens. But let's continue this conversation. Yeah, I know you're going to DM me. So let's continue the conversation as to the operational concepts that every one of us has had to go through in order to get to where we are today, because that's also your vision. It's also your execution. It's the voice inside of you, and it's clarity, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll jump in. It goes back with operations. Look, whether you're Joe's Tires or you're Microsoft, it's businesses. Every business is made of the exact same thing. It's called people. And as you build and you have that team, you have that culture, make sure everyone knows why they're there. In a business environment, everyone chooses to invest those many hours of their life with that business. Why are they there? They want to be inspired, not expired. So when you're looking at operations and then goes down to execution, why are you there? What are your jobs? What is your inspiration? Because you can do anything you want, but you've chosen to be at that place at that time. Mm-hmm. So it all boils down to the human beings, which every business has.
I think, Jeff, I really like what you're saying. It's very true. In my world, I have to facilitate a lot of different types of meetings. And I'm a facilitator, on top of all this. And so when you have a bunch of creative people in a room, sometimes you have those that just want to talk. And then you have those that are the silent type. And I found that the silent types are the ones that feel deeply. And that when recognizing it, I will go ahead and I'll say, Jim, you haven't said anything. What's on your mind, right? And the entire table gets quiet because there's no more talk. They want to listen. And sometimes Jim may say, I got nothing, Dave. And no, you do. You do have something. Just bring it out. It's okay. So I kind of believe that it is about the people. And it's about helping recognize them, as a facilitator or as a coach or whatever, to let them know that they are something very special, not just stardust. They're just beautiful creatures and that they do have something to contribute. And I like that part. I like that part because as a unit, when you're trying to come up with ideas or you're trying to come up creatively with something, especially in the marketing world, it is great to hear some out of place ideas and to encourage them, and then something can be built that is structured so that you have an execution that you can move forward with. And now you have a team because you brought everybody in, everybody is bought into that situation. So I think listening skills are very important, but also identifying and, I hate to say it like this, but attaboy, you know what I mean? That type of thing that says, I think that what you're saying is important. Let's try to unravel it, and then let's try to bring it right back into something as a group or a team we can turn into something magnificent.
Yeah.
I love that you said that because everybody does have a voice, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who. If you give it to everybody in the room, that means that they can speak, they can say something, that they're valued. I like that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And all
I
goes
love
into
the.
level,
Okay.
good, level of confidence. There are a lot of times where, David, you have talked about people maybe being quiet and not want to speak. We've heard that public speaking is maybe on top, if not below, death. So
Yeah.
if you can enhance the confidence of somebody, look, I'm currently an executive in residence at Cal State University. And these students are in business. It's called Business 300. And one of the first things we did in that space, get rid of the embarrassment. You're in a safe space. Everyone has a voice, which is one of the topics today. Use the voice. And if someone doesn't appreciate you, that's their issue. You've got to instill the confidence in that person to have their inner voice come out. It's a very powerful thing. Renee, you're going to share with us something.
Yes, I wanted to just to add onto that is that our voice is so powerful, but we create as leaders the conditions for operational success. And so it's not just about one thing. It's a beautiful system when everyone feels like they're included and they're valued. That's when those voices are amplified and they help improve the system, because we all know as business owners and leaders that we can't alone, if we have a successful operation, we can't run that and sustain it by ourselves. It requires support and assistance of others to do that. And a lot of times that comes from voices and saying, hey, here's a better way to do that, and being open to receiving that. When we're doing well, letting us know that. But when we're not, hey, here's what you can do better. Those are things that help us and build our confidence in those moments and help us show up the next time even better.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, Renee, because what I hear, if I reframe it, is that, in a safe place, this is where things can grow. But many times we're not in a safe place, right? We're just not. And so confidence grows through action, I think, not contemplation. So that confidence, sometimes you have to stand up and just go, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. I give it a whirl, I used to work with a fellow, and he would always, whenever a client came to us and was asking for the moon and something that we really couldn't handle, instead of being honest and transparent, as I prefer to be, he would say to him, I'll take a crack at it. It's like, wait a minute, what are you doing? And the client would be like, no, that's okay. I think we're good. So I think that confidence, when in an environment that is not safe, happens because people will, like that fellow Jim I was talking about, needs to really get into the action part of it and just view it and say, all right, I learned something, I moved on, I can see what's happening here. So I kind of agree with you, Renee.
Internally, before we take an action, whatever the action is, including just speaking up, think about, what is the downside? What is the worst that can happen? And when you think that way, you realize, hey, if this is the worst, I'm going to as you say, take a shot. I'm going to try. So before you take an action, you go that analysis, operations and execution. What's the worst that can happen? And then what's the best that can happen? Just do it. If it is to be, it is up to me.
Well, Jeff, what happens when it's a serious consequence? Right?
Well, see, before it becomes a serious consequence, that's where you have a conceive stage. What are the steps? What can happen? What is the consequences of this? And if you look at that serious consequence and you realize that is the worst that can happen, don't do that. Think. A lot of times people do without thinking. It's very important when you have something, especially business owners, employees, entrepreneurs, do, because I got big make. But if you can be quiet for a moment and write down your thoughts, I call that a brain dump, because then what it does, it clears your brain. You're able to see what is on your mind, and then you can process that. So if there are serious consequences, be aware of that, and you got to weigh the risks, because even in government, there's some serious consequences. But what are the risks? Is it a 50-50? Maybe that's not good enough. Is it an 80-20? Then the odds are in your favor. So invest the time to think about something before you actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things that we're talking is about voice, and sometimes people don't always understand the value of their own voice. It brings me back to when you guys were all talking, when you started talking about voice, it brought me back to Welcome Back, Carter. Or Shaq. Mr. Carter, Mr. Carter, Mr. Carter. He used to throw his hand up and he used to get crazy. And Mr. Carter's like, what is it, Shaq? And then he would come up with something. But it was always important for him to be able to be recognized. And so many people don't realize that if you have something to say, sometimes you have to make the noise. Sometimes you have to get known or noticed, if you will. And sometimes it is a little bit wacky that we have to do certain things in order to be recognized, because it's one of the things about execution, right? If I want somebody to be able to understand that what they're doing right now, they need to maybe stop. I need to get their attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a go, maybe they're not going, and I need to get their attention still. So it's always about. I love watching certain sitcoms because they're the ones that bring out the best clarity in the way people communicate. So if you ever watch sitcoms, they're hysterical. There's 30 minutes. Big Bang Theory is another one that's it's off the air, but man, was that pretty bright.
So who noticed by what Sifu was saying about Welcome Back, Carter? He's calling all of us old because we remember that.
I know. Yeah.
But you know, even if you're young, you can go back to one of these special channels they have nowadays, and you can look up all these old shows.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
you know, it's really interesting. But there's so many things that are well written that sometimes, if you want to get better at something, you may not have to reinvent it. You can just have to go look it up. You have to look at what's available to us. And sometimes, even with operations, if we say, I'm going to start this company from scratch, great. But why don't you do a little research and find out if there's another company that's been started and what their failures are, because maybe they're not around it. And what is it about that company that they messed up on that you can visualize and make it better for yourself, for the one that you're about to create? So a lot of times we do have to look back at history for the visibility of what we want to accomplish today and tomorrow.
So make a concept new and improved. How many times have you heard of new and improved? You have the base, and that's where the thinking process is. How can we make this better? And if something works well, what's the next step? Because look, we've been around for at least here over 250 years in America. Look at all the advancements we've had. It's all new and improved. So Seafood, you're definitely at the right idea of the foundation. What is the foundation? Because without the foundation, the building's going to fall. So understand that foundation and how you can enhance it.
Right.
I think that's brilliance.
It is.
I'm going to call it when I see it.
You know what I like about that is being able to look at, let's say, another business owner who has done well. And you can model what they do, but you don't have to take everything, because sometimes you look at it and go, that's not me, or I would never do that. But other facets are. An example, I mentioned my father earlier. Wonderful man. But there were certain personality traits I said, I don't want, right? There are other things that he excelled at. So when looking at other businesses, I think that sometimes we have to say that's great. I can follow that, especially that execution or the operation. But you know what? My style says I'll do this. And being aware of who you are and the type of person you are, or the type of business the type of personality of the business you want to have, especially the branding. You can say, no, this is the direction I want to go in, but I can take pieces from other people. And, and certainly that's how I've learned to develop my character.
Can I ask you guys and young ladies a question? What do you think about this? If it isn't broken, don't touch it. Leave it alone.
I think that it's valid, but as long as we're here, as long as we're alive and breathing, we're moving towards becoming the best versions of ourselves. And so it may be working, but how can we continue to move it? How can we continue to make it better? Because what got us to this point is not going to sustain us unless we continue to improve it and grow it.
I have a 3-year-old grandson, and I noticed that he learns things by breaking them. There's no crying. He just kind of looks at it and goes, oh, this is what happens. And then the next time he has that object in his hand, he doesn't break it, or else maybe he does, and I go, wow, that's pretty good. That's a trait I want.
He sounds like an engineer.
Yeah.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah.
Going what Renee says, and Renee and Sifu, if it's not broken, don't fix it. All right, but have a plan B. I mean, during the evolution of business, we're going back, I had a great DOS program that I didn't want to get rid of, but then DOS didn't exist anymore. I had to transfer to Windows. If you have something that's working, such as a CRM, I have a CRM I've been using since 2009. Ain't broken, don't fix it. But there is a plan B. I'm aware of what else is out there. So if it's working for you and you're enhancing, you're growing from it, that's fine, but have that plan B. Because there was a plan B in 2020 when COVID hit. No one knew what that was, but you got to really think about that. So it's working today, may not work tomorrow, but if it's working today, use it to maximum benefit.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Nikki?
My thought, well, I'm thinking back to what Renee was saying about improvement. Things can be working, and how are they working specifically? What is working? What could be improved? So I think it could be a yes and, like something could be working, and we could have a plan B, and we can look for how can we up level and improve.
The reason I brought that question up is because I was thinking of, remember Blockbuster?
Oh, I used to love going to Blockbuster on a Friday night.
Me
And the
too,
machine.
because you look at all the movies.
Yeah.
But then who took over? And if you think about, right, you think about Netflix. They used to have a CD program or a DVD program. And my fiance's mom, before she passed, I think they kept that program open just for her. Because she would go, oh, I got this movie or this show. She was watching shows from where? From the UK. She loved stuff from the UK. And so what wound up happening for her is that he would be super excited to receive this DVD in the mail. But I think she used to get 3 and she used to watch it, and then she has to return it and come back. And at one point I said to her, you're still doing that? There's a paid subscription. It's probably the same amount of money. No, I just like what I like. But guess what they did? They realized that she was probably their only customer and they were wasting money on that concept. So eventually they sent her a letter and said, we're going to stop this process. And she was upset. but they didn't care because they had a bigger vision. And did you know, I think they try to sell to Blockbuster, and Blockbuster tell them no.
Right.
And what wound up happening is, where's Blockbuster now?
David, you mentioned you have a 3-year-old grandson.
Yeah.
Imagine what is going to be in his future. Things that don't even exist right now.
Mhm.
So that's when you say, if it's not broke, don't fix it, but there will be that plan B. There will be that future. And even in our respective businesses, we are always constantly evolving. What is new? How can we be better? How can we help others? Because that's the only way you can advance. When you give that inspiration to others, that just helps everybody grow. So think there's a lot of things in the future. Look, I kind of made a comment when Seafood talked about Welcome Back, Kotter. When that was airing, computers didn't exist, cell phones didn't exist, a lot of things didn't exist, a lot of businesses didn't exist, a lot of jobs didn't exist. But for David, for your 3-year-old grandson and my 2-year-old grandson, imagine what's going to be.
Right. Well, it's funny. We're being forced into new technologies all the time, and we have to be open to it. To date me, when microwaves came out, I was like, oh my God, we're at the top. This is unbelievable, And I remember thinking that, and then to think of like what's going to happen next year or the following year. I wish I had a better imagination to see it. I have to go with Star Trek to keep thinking of what's happening now. We're talking to the computer. Scotty's talking to the computer. Well, now I'm talking with AI, right? I'm talking. And boy, my AI is so nice to me. Every idea I have is awesome.
Yeah. I trained mine to be a sparring partner.
Oh, did you?
And now I regret doing that because it's annoying me. And it always says, because I know you like sparring, Mickey, consider this.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I have a question I want to throw out. What do you think about the impact of voice invisibility in a social world where we're losing sometimes the ability to communicate vocally and everything is, we have keyboard warriors. So how is voice invisibility growing or impacted by that?
Renee, before we go
Before we answer, I want to share a video, and that's a great question. I want you to take a look at this video and then we can chat.
The city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event. It's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds. A movement of momentum. Seafood on fire. Land salad. Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync. Dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame. Different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC experience mastermind, where purpose is found.
I don't know. I see Renee dancing.
Dancing. You caught me.
I love that song.
Yes.
I love
Renee.
it.
I'm going to jump in. Renee, would you reframe what your question was? Because I find it very interesting.
I want to know what your thoughts are on voice and impact. Voice and visibility with our social platforms. How is it impacting it? How is it making it better? Or are we losing our ability to be visible and have a voice?
Can you give me an example?
Yes, I noticed that there are times when we go into rooms and we're able to share a different perspective of our voice and how we want to show up. But then there's a different perspective that shows up online. There's a different type of engagement And then when you're in rooms, when you have the ability to have conversation, those conversations are not happening. I'm like, there's people, we're here. Why aren't we engaging? You know, I like human connection, but still everybody's on the phone doing the posting and that, and we're missing the human connection of that voice with the person who's actually in front of you.
That's why I played that video, because I understood your question in that regard.
You know, it's, Renee, you're talking about communication, and there's so many different forms of communication when we receive that information in a different format. Look, you can read a book and your mind thinks a certain way. You can listen to a book and you have the author talking, or you can see the movie about the book. It's still the book, but it's how I receive the communication. And when you're preparing a piece of communication, oral, written, or video, or otherwise, think of who your audience is going to be. And yes, there is a place for everything. There's a place for the voice. There's a place for the written thing. So just think of who is your audience and how will they receive that communication.
You know, Ray, I'm going to throw in my 2 cents. I think that sometimes people are not engaged, or maybe perhaps they're just not interested, or they're multitasking. I had a woman say to me the other day, because I run a Zoom networking event, and she said to me, you know, sometimes, Dave, while some people are talking, I'm working on my computer. I go, okay, do whatever you want. And then sometimes she says, I'm just checking my messages. And that would tell me that, well, it doesn't seem that you're engaged, or you're not interested, and that's okay. Maybe it's not interesting what's being talked about. You know, is that what you're leaning towards? It's the fact that people aren't engaging?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I get that, because I think we are in a world where that's celebrated, that we multitask, that we do different things, and I don't think it's celebrated enough of that intentionality of being visibly present. So if I'm here with you, I want to make sure that I'm giving you my time and energy, because what you're saying is valuable, and valuing others creates those conditions for mutual success, mutual experiences. And that's something that I see that is missing a little bit when a lot of the attention is on our social media presence. We need it. I'm not downing that, but also just making sure that 2 things can exist at the same time. Yes, and we need to be social, but we also need to be engaging intentionally.
Right.
So one of the topics we talked about is operations and multitask. You know, I've heard that phrase and it's used a lot of times, but the brain really can't multitask because you're focused on one thing. Now, Nikki, you're a brain trainer. I think you're better to talk about what the brain can focus on.
Yeah, I've tried the multitasking thing. I've done it where I'm in meetings.
Doing it right now.
You're doing it right now. I know. I see. It's become so common that people are just checked out. But yeah, I've tried it before.
Listen, I'm listening, though. I'm listening.
Energy drain to multitask, because your brain then, I think in neuroscience, they say something like it takes 25 minutes for your mind to get laser focused back onto what you had abandoned before you put your focus somewhere else. So it would serve us better to just be intentional and fully focused on one thing at a time, complete it, and then move on to the next thing. I remember one time I sat in a meeting and I didn't really need to be, my voice didn't need to be heard. I was just kind of listening. And as I was listening, I said, let me send this email. It took me 45 minutes to write that email. Trying to listen, I was seeing messages in the chat, and I said that was unnecessary. I should have waited till the meeting was over, and I would have sent that email in 5 minutes or less. So that's my view on multitasking.
Your comment of sometimes it takes 25 minutes to get in the zone. A lot of the times we all understand what it is in the zone for us. And when you're in the zone, you're the most focused, you're the most productive. So back to realizing in operations and tasks and execution, what does it take to get you in the zone and recreate those environments, whatever those environments are for you? What's good for me may not be good for Renee, may be good for David, for Nikki, for Sifu, but understand what is the zone and what zone are you choosing to be in, and get there and be there.
Mhm.
That's more of an inspiration than an expiration.
Absolutely.
I want to touch upon what Renee talked about, because what I'm looking at a lot now is AI cloning. I don't want somebody walking around that looks like me who is not me. And everybody's like, oh, it's the biggest thing. And look, it wasn't even me. I'm like, really? So you're lying this whole time. And that may be the next thing that's truly going to grab a lot of people, especially people who say, oh, I have so many things to do, but why don't I give my clone? But your clone is only on social. Now that they're trying to do, answer your phone for you. But we're no longer getting into the reality of speaking to another human being. So is it Terminator 2 coming back at us? What is going on when we think about the communication, the human communication that we're losing contact with?
Mhm.
And I think when you talked about getting into a room and then people are not really talking, they're disengaged because they're just there like, look at me, look how sharp I look, look at, and instead of saying, tell me about you, right? And so a lot of times people are missing the point of your human connection. And I think COVID pushed that envelope, because a lot of people, listen, there were people who were trying to get away with working while not working. There was some guy who did an oscillating fan so the camera would move and it looked like he was working. But it's all the, how can I trick you to believe that it's me? Why don't I just be there? Why don't I be present with you? And how many times have you been to a place and somebody really doesn't want to talk to you, but they're looking to, who's the next real person I want to talk to?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah. And they're looking over your shoulder. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice meeting you. Okay. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Just, you know what? Don't even have the conversation. Excuse yourself and say, I'm sorry, I have to go to the restroom. But then if you do want to go talk to a certain person, then approach them. And guess what? They may not want to talk to you. So there you go. Catch 22, right?
Sifu, I have family like that. It's not just business, it's family. My wife was on the phone the other day for her doctor, and they had an AI answering service. And I have to tell you, though, it was really interesting because it actually took her questions and asked her questions to get clarification. And she was able to go through it. And I'm listening, and I'm going, man, this is getting better and better. And of course, it had a woman's voice. It was a gentle voice. It was trying to help her, but it was talking like a human being.
Yeah.
And I didn't see a problem with that because it was meeting her needs as if she's talking to a person. And
I'm 100% for that. 100%. I'm going to argue with you on that. I'm going to argue with you on that.
And I thought, wow,
right.
It made the human being feel comfortable. And it also recognized issues that she may have had that need to be addressed. And it would repeat back to her and say, my wife could correct it and do those. The only thing that it didn't do well was it sometimes would over talk her. In other words, she would be trying to talk and it would run into another question. So that needs to be fixed. But I thought, wow, that's really, really interesting where we're going with this.
But have you ever seen, even in movies or something, they're like, representative, they're yelling at the phone, representative. And so what winds up happening, and I agree that is good, and they've gotten a lot better, and it's only going to improve. But what happens is when that AI cannot truly answer the questions or give you what you want, and then you ask for a representative, and the representative eventually 20 minutes later comes on,
I know.
and they ask the same questions,
Yeah.
that's where the program is broken. That's where the argument for me comes in. It's, I love it, but if the person coming on the phone says, "Oh, I see everything that it's, I already understand where you're at,"
Right.
but I've had the same issues where I'm with somebody on and or even if you talk to a person, let me put you to the next department. You go to the next department, you have to explain everything again. I'm like, oh my God, I've been on the phone for 28 minutes and I'm saying the same thing I did from minute one. So there's this whole, yes, we're trying to get better, but we're the guinea pigs, if you think of it. The consumer has become the guinea pig. And we're running around chasing our own tails. And yes, it's going to get better. But in reality, we're the guinea pigs.
Well, it's that human experience that we're going through. You know, I just think that when the aliens look at us, they go, we're coming back in another million years. We're going to see how we do.
David, the story you told was in a business setting because your wife was talking to someone in a business setting. And now if you look in a business setting, and each of us, even the listeners, are in business or even in regular life, understand what your individual high impact, high income skill is. And if you can do that more and more and give someone else to play at what you work at, that enhances you. And eventually that's going to enhance the customer experience or the human experience, because as you're here today at this moment in time, you are utilizing your high impact, high income skill set.
Good point, Jeff.
I got one or two of them. You know, I always say life is not a dress rehearsal. Life is for living. So choose how you want to live that and just enjoy it.
Yeah. And be more present. You know, I feel like we're moving away from that with all the, and it's very helpful, this technology. I was on the phone, I thought, with a human being until I was paying attention to the emotional disconnect. And I said, I think this is a robot pretending to be a human. I appreciate full transparency. So it's very helpful, right, to free us up. And I think in that we can miss being present. So this is great awareness that we're having this conversation, just to remind people, especially in your personal life, to be present with the people that you're with.
I think it's going to help our operations in business. I think that it's totally going to be a leadership thing that's going to be used.
Well, think about certain companies that they're not protecting their reputation by having call centers in other countries where the people don't speak the language fully. So are they hurting their reputation? Because customer service is outsourced, not even here in the US, it's outsourced somewhere else where they think they speak English.
Yeah.
And they don't understand us. And so that's why some of these same exact companies that was outsourcing are now using AI because they don't have to pay somebody 7 cents an hour, right? And for their bottom line, that's all they're thinking about, bottom line, instead of the true experience that a customer needs to have with them in order to even have more success. That's just my 2 cents.
And you raised something that was so important, Sifu, is that you said experience. And that's the piece that is so important to remember, because it can be, we can focus on the operations. What do I need for my operations? What do I need for my bottom line? But if I'm not aware of what the experience is like for my customer, the other person, then that's not sustainable. That's not creating a sustainable system,
right?
Because I can profit immediately from having this operation, But if I'm not concerned about the experience, then that's when it's going to limit the value and my sustainability and the way that I'm able to connect with people.
So I actually want people to connect with you because we're at the top of the hour where we actually have to end the show. So what I want to give everybody is a chance to 45 seconds, tell why somebody needs to connect with you. So Renee, ladies first, you're up, and your website is going across the bottom, soar2win.com.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm Renee Jackson-Smith. I am the founder of Soar2Win. I'm the unmuting coach. And what that means is I help high-performing leaders stop shrinking and stop performing for approval and start leading with clarity, confidence, and present. Because we all know that performing is exhausting and it's not your legacy. So connect with me. I would love to talk to you.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for being here with us. David, you're up, my friend.
My name is David Lita. I'm a marketing strategist, and primarily I work with solo practices such as financial advisors, legal attorneys, CPAs, etc., who are struggling with their marketing, who don't have an agency, who just needs a person to come in, look at it, and work with them. Most times I only work with them for about 3 months to 6 months and get the ball rolling, get their team moving forward. So I assist them when they're struggling with their marketing.
Beautiful. Ready to make sure you connect with David. Jeff, my friend, you're up.
So I usually introduce myself. My name is Jeff Schwartz, and I'm a recovering attorney. So I practiced law for about 3 decades, and the business I'm in right now is called Conceive Believe Achieve. So running 6 businesses and consulting with over 300 as a general counsel, also serving as a CEO and a COO, I've realized whether you're a butcher, baker, or candlestick maker, operations are operations. And most people are frustrated with the business of business, and that's my sandbox. That's where I play. So let's get together and conceive, believe, achieve.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. I like the recovery. Attorney, love that. Nikki, you are up, young lady.
Thank you, Sifu. And I'm Nikki Gangemi. You can connect with me at nikkigangemi.com. Personal trainer for the mind, helping high achievers to quiet that mental noise and take action that's in alignment with their goals. I help you with the invisible habits that prevent us from showing up the way we want and sabotaging our success.
Love it. Love it. And I'm Sifu Raphael. What can I say? I am easy to find. It's sifuraphael.com. I am the architect of your transformational journey, if you will. And there's so many facets that I do because I love life. And Jeff said it before. I had a client yesterday said to me, what do you want? I don't want some of it. Life. Come join me. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. Do me a favor. Somebody needed to hear what we all spoke about today. So please share the show with somebody. You never know how this may touch them in a positive way. Take care, everybody.
Thank you all.
Take care.